Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is February 14th, 2025, and Barcelona have a financial fair play rule problem with Inigo Martinez's contract renewal. Also, Barcelona inquired about the possibility of signing Rayo Vallecano's fullback. Finally, I'm going to tell you whether Thiago Alcantara is going to be able to come back to the club. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is the Barca News live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where we not only discuss Barcelona news, but we also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting a discussion going. For those of you who be watching when the podcast ends, don't worry. I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get just straight into the news. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Goal Kids Give Back Fanatics. If you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. You click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. Anyway, so let's begin with the news. And as always, the first segment of these podcasts is several bits of news, several little bits of news combined together. So let's start with the first subsection, I guess, of the first segment, but it's in regards to Barcelona's preseason tour. Now, as you know, this summer will be the first edition or the first new edition of the Club World Cup, which Barcelona have failed to qualify to. And as a result, Barcelona will need to make up that money that they're not going to be able to do in the World Cup. And as a result, they have decided to embark on a preseason tour in Asia, where they plan to play 2 matches in Korea and 2 matches in Japan. As I reported in a previous video, Barcelona were finalizing the last few details of their trip to Korea, which again will include 2 matches, where Barcelona estimate they will make around 10 million euros in profits. Again, this is just Korea, 10 million euros just from the 2 matches in Korea. Barcelona will then have to plan the Japan matches, which we'll see how much those matches can end up generating for Barcelona. Now, Barcelona, again, are in the final stages of finalizing the Korea trip, and we now know the first team or one of the opponents that Barcelona will be playing against, and it's no other than FC Seoul. Now, you might have heard of FC Seoul before because this is where Jesse Lingard is currently playing at. And this has been confirmed. Barcelona will play against Jesse Lingard's side, FC Seoul. They will play in Seoul World Cup Stadium, which hosts about 67,700 people. And now we talk about the second opponent. This one is not 100% confirmed, but they are talking about the possibility of Barcelona playing against this team, which is the most successful team in the Korean League. It's called... I hope I don't really I don't butcher this, but it's called Jeonbuk Hyundai. Again, it's the most successful team of the Korean League. This one is not as confirmed, not 100%. The match against FC Seoul, 100% confirmed. This team, not so much. They're also talking about the possibility of Barcelona playing against an all-star team made up of the best players of all the Korean League, or the K-League as it's called. So, FC Seoul confirmed. Maybe this team, maybe an all-star team, but 2 matches in Korea that will generate Barcelona 10 million, and then they'll head to Japan while they play 2 more matches. Those details have not been finalized yet. Once they are, of course, I'll be here to tell you about it. All right, let's move on to the next subsection of the first segment of this news, which is in regards to contract renewals. As you know, Barcelona have been on a mission to renew all of their youngsters. They have renewed Pedri, Gabi, Kouarsi, Ronald Araujo, Gerard Martin, and they've also been renewing players in the academy, including, of course, Diego Cochen, who was renewed back in December until 2028. Of course, Cochen is considered the biggest up-and-coming goalkeeping talent. Barcelona considered that he is the goalkeeper of the future. So Barcelona, of course, renewed him until 2028. But now there's a new surprise because Barcelona just renewed another goalkeeper who a lot of people expected that he was going to leave, and it's no other than Aaron Yaakobishvili, the 80-year-old Hungarian goalkeeper, another very promising goalkeeper currently in the academy. His contract expires at the end of the season in the summer of 2025. He was not renewing, and it seemed like he was on his way out of Barcelona, that he was going to go somewhere else. But in a 180, Barcelona have reached an agreement with Yaakobishvili to extend his contract. We don't know the terms of this contract renewal, but it is confirmed that Barcelona have renewed him. Now, we don't know exactly what happened, if Barcelona maybe convinced Yaakobishvili to stay, or maybe Yaakobishvili had a change of mind. We don't know. But one thing is for sure is that Barcelona have renewed Yaakobishvili. We'll find out more about the terms of the contracts later. But this is, of course, great news because, again, Yaakobishvili is another promising goalkeeper who seemed like he was on his way out, but now will be staying at Barcelona. Now, the final segment of this first segment, subsection of this first segment, whatever you want to call it, is Thiago Alcantara. I know a lot of people have been asking, Mo, is Thiago Alcantara coming back? Because as you know, Thiago Alcantara joined Hansi Flick's staff on a temporary basis during the summer to help Hansi Flick, get established as a coach. And it seemed like he was going to stay for a longer period of time, but due to tax reasons, he had to go back to England because when he decided to retire, Liverpool paid him kind of like some money to cancel the contract. And because he had received that money, that payout from Liverpool, he needed to stay in the United Kingdom until the end of the year for tax purposes. Now, after the end of 2024, he could move anywhere he wanted. And that's when it was expected that Thiago Alcantara would come back to Barcelona and rejoin Hansi Flick's team. But it looks like Thiago Alcantara has decided that he's not going to be coming back to Barcelona during this season. Now, we don't know. He might come back in the summer or next season. But for this season, it's confirmed Thiago Alcantara will not be coming back. We don't know the reason, but if I were to bet on it, it's probably because he wanted a break. When he retired, he was very hesitant to join Hansi Flick's team because he had just retired and he wanted to take a year off, spend time with his family. And then eventually he came to Barcelona kind of like just on a temporary basis. He just was going to come in to help for a few days. And then Hansi Flick eventually convinced him to stay. It looked like he was going to stay, but then he had to leave due to tax reasons. So my guess is probably that he doesn't want to come back during the second half of the season because he probably wants to, commit what he had initially planned when he first retired, which is to take a full year off. We'll see if he decides to come back next summer or next season. But for now, Thiago Alcantara will not be coming back. Now, he has been spotted in Barcelona. I don't know if he's moved back to Barcelona or not, to the city. But again, Alcantara will not be coming back as part of Flick's staff during the second half of the season. However, he is still helping. It's reported that him and Flick have conversation very often. Some are saying they have it on a daily basis. So he's still kind of helping Flick, behind the scenes. But in an official capacity, it's not happening during this season. All right, let's do the comment section, and then we will talk about Inaki Pena, since we are talking about contract renewals. All right, let's see what everyone's saying. Montemanti says, what's up, Mo? What's up, my brother? Thank you for joining and for your comment. And Mike Malenci says, what's up, Mo? Why you ain't with the missus? By the way, happy Valentine's to all of you watching. I hope you spend a great day with your loved ones, family, friends, etc. As far as me not spending it with the missus, everybody in my life knows that when it's time for the podcast, it's time for the podcast. There's no skipping it because Barcelona news does not stop. Barcelona news does not care if it's a holiday, if I'm sick, if I'm tired. The club just keeps giving us things to talk about. Arav says, hey, Mo, hope you're doing good. Which positions do you think this team needs to reinforce, and who would you sign for them? I think the number one is the left wing because we need a left winger. We don't have a specialist in the left wing position. Who would I sign? I think Nico Williams is the only possible option, right? It's the only feasible option. Leao is too expensive. We saw Kvaratskhelia went to PSG. So really, Nico Williams remains the only feasible option, an option that Barcelona could afford because he has a release clause, 58 million. You pay it, he's yours. You don't have to negotiate with Athletic Club Bilbao or anything like that. Now, as far as other positions, I think we probably need the fullbacks. Right now, Kunde and Alejandro Balde don't have competition. They need someone to compete with them. In the left back, I would not sign anyone now. I would want to wait until the summer to see how Alex Baye does with Como and how Alex Baye does when he comes back from preseason. Because if he impresses, if he shows that he can compete with Balde, then why spend money? Have him compete with Balde. As far as on the right, I would love to see Hector Fort compete with Jules Koundé, but looks like it's not happening. Looks like he's not ready. He's not convincing. Who would I sign? Oof, I don't know. I honestly don't know. There's a lot of options out there. I don't really have a favorite option. Whoever can compete with Koundé, that's fine with me. And finally, the last position we would need to reinforce, the center forward, right? Lewandowski's not getting any younger. Paul Victor seems like Hansi Flick does not trust him. So we need to bring someone in the place of Lewy. Who? Again, I'm not sure, because a lot of the options that Barcelona be considering we cannot afford, like Jokrish, like obviously Haaland at the time, but now he's renewed. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But those are, I think, are the positions that need to be reinforced. Center forward, left wing, right back, left back, and then everything else we're covered. We have a million center backs. We have plenty of midfielders. Maybe someone for Lamine to compete with, but hopefully maybe Brahim Diarra can eventually come up to the first team and compete with him. For now, he does have Ferran Torres, who can come off the bench and do some damage. We have Rafinha, who can play on that side. So the right wing is not as a priority as like the left wing, where there's no one there, or as the fullbacks, where, again, no one there to substitute Koundé or to compete with Koundé and Balde. Goalkeeper, I would rather not, because I prefer to depend on our youngsters. We have Cochen, we have Iker, Rodriguez, even Estradaga. He's really good. And now Yaakobishvili is going to be staying. So I don't think we need another goalkeeper. So I wouldn't reinforce that position. Now, the funny guy says, hey, Mo, who do you think of just buying Neymar for marketing only? That's why I have been hearing some Barca fans are saying we should buy Neymar. Okay, I've talked about this in previous video, but I'll touch on it again. And that is that Barcelona should never, ever, 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 ever buy players for their marketing prowess. And I'll tell you why. Because A, we don't need to. We're talking about FC Barcelona. It's one of the biggest brands in football. We don't need to be bringing players for our brand. It's the opposite. Players need our brand for them to become big, not the other way around. That's why teams like in Saudi and MLS and Japan and Korea, China, whatever, that's why they sign big stars, because they need it, because nobody's watching those leagues. Nobody's watching those matches. So they need to bring someone to bring the attention to them. We don't need that. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. We're one of the most watched clubs in the world. We're the most watched club in Europe. We don't need to bring players for marketing purposes. We don't. Do you see ads for Ferrari on TV? You don't. Why? Because it's freaking Ferrari. Everybody knows it. Everybody wants one. They don't need to be putting ads in the radio and on a newspaper or on TV, right? Same thing here. We don't need players to come for marketing reasons, because we don't need to. And the second reason, because, again, this is FC Barcelona. We compete for every trophy. And if you want to compete for every trophy, you want to sign players that can help you get there. Not players for marketing purposes. You sign players based on your footballing needs. What positions do I need to reinforce? What players fit those positions the best? What players fit within my scheme the best? What players can give my team the best chance to win a trophy? What players can improve the quality of our squad? Not what players are going to bring me marketing, which, again, we don't need. And second, that's not how you win trophies. Look at PSG. They've signed all kinds of stars. Where has that gotten them? Nowhere. So no, absolutely not. I think we should never, ever, ever, ever sign players for marketing purpose. I think that's just stupid, just to put it plain and simple. And if people are suggesting that, then they need to go watch, I don't know, the Saudi League, where you do need teams to sign players for marketing reasons. All right, let's get back to the news, because we do have to talk about Inaki Pena. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the Barcelona goalkeeper has paused the negotiations to extend his contract. Now, Inaki Pena's contract expires in the summer of 2026. And after an impressive first half of the season, where Marter Stegen got injured, Inaki Pena stepped in his place. Barcelona had decided to extend the contract of Inaki, and they have started negotiations with the player and his agent. However, now after Wojciech Szczesny has become the number one goalkeeper at Barcelona, and after Hansi Flick has pretty much put an end to the debate, saying Szczesny's number one, period. It doesn't matter the competition, if it's La Liga, Champions, or Copa del Rey, he's the number one, period. So after this, Inaki Pena has now paused the negotiations with the club because, of course, his future is uncertain. He doesn't know what's going to happen. Is he going to be able to recoup that spot? Is he not? Is Szczesny going to stay, number one goalkeeper? Also, what's going to happen next season? Szczesny's only signed for one season, but there's been talks about Barcelona maybe extending the contract of Szczesny. So if he does extend, what does that mean for the following season? So Inaki Pena wants to wait until the end of the season and figure out, see what are his chances of recouping the spot. What's going to happen with Szczesny? Is he staying and is he leaving? Is Inaki going to go back to being a second goalkeeper next season? So for now, Inaki is going to wait until the summer to decide whether he wants to stay in Barcelona or whether he wants to leave. Now, of course, Deco has implemented a new policy at the club where he doesn't want any players staying at the club in the final year of their contract. You either renew or you get sold, because he doesn't want any more players to leave as free agents. So, of course, Inaki Pena will have to decide during this summer, is he staying, is he leaving? Because Deco's not going to want to keep Inaki Pena at the club during the final year of his contract without either renewing or being put on the market. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Inaki. But of course, I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think Inaki should do? Should he stay? Should he leave? Would you care if he left? Would you care if he stayed? Let me know in the comment section or in the chat section if you're watching this live. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about. And then we will talk about Inigo Martinez, because, ladies and gentlemen, we have more financial fair play problems. It never ends. SA says, Stefan Bajtik, remember him from Liverpool? On loan to Las Palmas. He is a mix of Busquets and Bernal. Spanish, we can get him one way or another. Maybe swap Casado plus Oduro for him. Better type CDM for us. I would not swap Casado for anyone, let alone for Bajtik. McCoy says, hey, Mo, I want to ask you a question. If Barcelona signed Nico Williams, where do you see Coutinho playing? Bear in mind, we have a lot of number 10s. I think Coutinho could still play on the left, with Nico Williams coming in, substituting for him, or maybe even starting, depending on the match, right? Some matches, you need players who can run behind your opponent's defenders or can run to the empty space. That's a match for Rafinha any day of the week. Other teams, you need more. You need your wingers to be able to dribble so they can unlock low block defenses, right? In that match, you can use Nico Williams, right? So it's all about having different tools in your toolbox that allows you to, unlock different defenses. So if you need someone like Coutinho, you start Coutinho. If you need someone like Nico, you start like Nico. Right now, we only have one type of tool, Coutinho, who's really good at running to the empty space, running behind the defenders. But when it comes to like unlocking low block defenses through dribbling, Coutinho can't do that. So it's good to have both options, right? Plus, Rafinha can always play through the middle, and Rafinha can play on the right too. So I don't think it would be a problem for Coutinho as far as his minutes. And we do have a donation. Mo Bang Bang, thank you so much, my friend, for your generous donation. Who says, if Deck does extend, Pena just should find a new club. I think he should leave either way because we have goalkeeper depth. My only problem is, I wouldn't want Tech to extend. Nothing against Tech. He had a phenomenal match. And it looks like he's starting to fit in. But he's 34 years old. And Ter Stegen is 32, right? We should, if we're worrying about our starting goalkeeper, who's Ter Stegen, getting old, it makes no sense that his backup is older than him. And yes, you might say, well, goalkeepers can play until 40, blah, blah, blah. Yes, technically they could, because they don't run as much. Well, they barely run. They mostly stay under their posts. So technically, yes, they could play. Szczesny could play until longer, but ideally you don't want that. Why? Because your reaction time slows down as you get older. That's a scientific fact. So physically speaking, you might be able to play until you're 40 because you're not running as much. So you're not gonna fatigue, you're not gonna get tired, you're not gonna do all those things that requires that are a result of running a lot. So sure, you might not experience physical fatigue, even though you're 40 because you are a goalkeeper, but there's no way to fix the aging of your reflexes. So I don't think Tech should be renewed. I think Ter Stegen should go back to number one, and then figure out who's gonna be the number two. Now, Cochen, Iker Casillas, sorry, Iker Rodriguez. I think they're great options to be second goalkeepers and then eventually first, but they're still pretty young. Cochen's only 18, Iker is only 16, so it's going to take them some time to where they can compete at the highest level. So that's when you want a second goalkeeper like Inaki to hold it down for at least a season or two until Cochen and Iker are ready to step into the second spot. And eventually, when Ter Stegen is old enough, then Cochen or Iker can take over the first goalkeeper, right? So that's my only concern. But yeah. Anyways. All right, let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Where did we leave off? This chat moved on me. I think this is where we left off. Noor says, your view on Mapi Leon controversy. Are you talking about the one with the Espanyol player? If that's the one you're talking about, there were allegations that supposedly Mapi, she got into kind of like an altercation with an Espanyol player. I think her name is Daniela, and supposedly Mapi grabbed her private parts and asked and told her, "You have a dick or you have a penis." It turns out that's not truth. There's no truth to that. This was just simply bad lip reading. It looks like what Mapi did was poke her in the leg to get her attention, not grab her actual private parts. And she says in Spanish, "What is wrong with you?" She doesn't say you have a penis or you have a dick, as some people on social media have decided. So there's no controversy. This is just social media being social media. R778 says, "Hey Mo, have you think making any videos or streams with other YouTubers like Faisal so you can have Real Madrid side of different things?" That's actually a good idea. Actually, I just don't know any YouTubers who are Madrid YouTubers because I've never actually watched any Madrid YouTubers or any Madrid channels. I have been invited on other Barca channels and I've had a lot of fun doing it, but I've actually never watched. I don't know who's in the Real Madrid space, to be honest. Like I've never ever watched a Real Madrid channel or a Real Madrid YouTuber, so I don't even know who's out there doing these. Would it be interesting? I think it'd be interesting to have another perspective and have kind of like maybe a debate about things. But I just don't watch Madrid YouTube channels because I'm a Barca fan. There's no need for me to do that, right? It's like when Madridistas come here and they're like having aneurysms and crying on my comment section. I'm like, why are you here, bro? The channel is literally called Barca News. Like, if you're not a Barca fan, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, leave. But yeah, I think it would be a great option. I just don't know anyone. But it would be a great or interesting option. But anyways, let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about Inigo Martinez. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a problem with the contract of Inigo Martinez. Now, as you know, again, Barcelona are on a mission to renew the contract of their most important players. They started out with the youngsters, and of course, one of them was going to be Inigo Martinez because he has been doing absolutely amazing alongside Kouarsi. They've been like an absolutely amazing cup CB pairing. And Inigo Martinez contract expires at the end of the season. However, he does have a clause in his contract where if he plays 45 minutes, a minimum of 45 minutes of 60% of all the matches, his contract renewal would trigger automatically. Now, because he has been doing so great, Barcelona want to reward him with a contract renewal regardless. They don't want to wait until the clause to trigger on its own. So they met with Inigo Martinez and they told him, "Hey, we're very happy with you and we want you to extend your contract." Now, what's the problem? That since Barcelona renewed Araujo, Kouarsi, Gavi, and Pedri, they have run out of financial fair play. So Barcelona right now don't have financial fair play to extend the contract of Inigo, and they are now in contact with La Liga to try to figure out a solution, to try to figure out if there's a way to extend the contract of Inigo, and we'll see what happens. But definitely not good news because Barcelona could find itself in trouble as far as Inigo Martinez's renewal. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, we can find a solution because Inigo has been absolutely phenomenal this season. And, I would love to see him continue at the club. So, again, this is a reminder that just achieving 1-to-1 rule was not it. And that's it. As I explained many, many times, 1-to-1 rule just means that for every euro you make off selling a player, you could use that entire euro to buy a new one. So if you sell Frankie for 100 million, you can use the full 100 million to buy a new player. That's the 1-to-1 rule. That's all that means. Before we were under the 1-to-4 rule, which means you can only use 1 out of 4 euros that you made. So if we sold Frankie for 100, we would only be able to use 25 million to sign someone else. That's all that means. 1-to-1 means you can use for every euro you make off sale of a player, you can use it to buy a new one. It doesn't mean that our debt is wiped away. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden we have infinite money in our bank accounts. Because I remember when I announced the 1-to-1, everyone was like, hey, we signed Haaland and signed. I was like, whoa, chill. No. We can't sign any of those people. We're still in financial trouble. Yes, we achieved the 1-to-1, which is a huge deal because we hadn't been under the 1-to-1 rule in a very long time. But the problems are not over. And as you can see, the season is not even over. And we've already facing an obstacle. Hopefully, Barcelona can find a solution because, again, I think Inigo is an absolutely magnificent defender. And I would love to see him continue at the club. All right, let's do more news. And then we will talk about another defender who Barcelona are interested in possibly signing. Isaac says, who the fruits wants to swap Mark Casado in the chat? You got to be kidding, right? I watched Casado in his cadet days with Texas Alba and Coke Company, and trust me, Casado hasn't hit his peak yet. Yeah, no, I wouldn't trade Casado for anyone. I mean, not even for Haaland himself. Java the Hut says, Frankie's happy because he's a starter. Once he gets relegated to the bench, he's going to want to leave. He needs to be sold this summer. Frankie needs to lower his salary. That's what Frankie needs to do. Or leave, right? If he wants to stay, that's cool. But he needs to lower his salary. Otherwise, yeah, he should leave. Let's see. And Isaac says, I always felt okay to bring Nate back for marketing and also as a stopgap solution for the left wing. But on a second deliberation and what Nate did to us, now I'm very sure we have a lot to let this train pass. I don't even care what he did. I mean, it's whatever. He wanted to go to another team. It's his right to do so. But we should never, ever sign players for marketing purposes because A, we don't need it. We're FC Barcelona. We're one of the biggest brands. Our brand is 10 times bigger than Neymar will ever be. So we don't need it. And B, it's Barcelona. If we want to compete for every trophy, we should be signing players based on our footballing needs, not on our marketing needs, which again, we don't need players for our marketing needs. We're not a Saudi team. We're not an MLS team. We're not a Korean league team or a Chinese league team that needs these big names so people can watch us. People watch us because we're FC Barcelona, not because we have Neymar or because we have Joao Felix or whatever. People watch, they watch us because we play good football, not because we have Neymar or Joao Felix. Because remember, Laporta signed him for marketing purposes. And look at what that did how that helped. Lowest attendance records during last season. Why? Because the team was playing horribly. So who cares if you have Joao Felix? No one wants to go to the top of a mountain if you're playing horribly. Barca for Life says, both are older and I trust VVD next year compared to Inigo. He doesn't have as much pace and athleticism. Wait, so you trust Van Dijk over Inigo? Is that what you're trying to say? I don't think I understand your comment. R778 says, why we don't buy young goalkeepers? Because we already have plenty in the academy, my friend. Noor says, Mo, you think we should sell some midfield options to get more depth in attack and fullbacks? Who should we sell? No, we shouldn't. I mean, if you were to sell a midfielder, I would say maybe Frankie. But I would not want to sell any of our midfielders. So no. All right, let's do the last bit of news, and then we will do more comments, I promise. But we do have to talk about a Rayo Vallecano fullback who Barcelona were interested in signing. And in fact, Deco reached out to Rayo Vallecano to find out his price, and it's Andrei Ratiu. If you haven't heard of Andrei Ratiu, he's a 26-year-old fullback. Again, currently playing at Rayo Vallecano. He's had tremendous growth in La Liga. In fact, Rayo Vallecano have been getting calls from all different clubs all around Europe interested in this player. And it looks like one of those calls that Rayo Vallecano received was from Deco, who called to find out what was the contract situation, because as you know, Barcelona are looking to reinforce the left back and the right back position, aside from the left wing being number one, right back being number two, because Barcelona consider that there's no one to compete with Koundé, and then left back would be number three, because even though Barcelona consider there's no one to compete with Balde, they have Alex Baye, who they want to see in a preseason, and depending on what happens with Alex Baye, if he impresses, he stays, so they don't need to sign anyone. But if he doesn't, then we'll go back to the market and see if there's anyone. But for now, left wing is number one, right back is number two. And of course, I've told you about several options that Barcelona are considering for the right back position, including Vanderson. And yesterday we talked about Wesley Franca, who's currently in Brazil. And while it looks like Barcelona were interested in signing Andrei Ratiu, they called up Rayo Vallecano to see what his contract situation was. And Rayo Vallecano pretty much said, you either pay the release clause or you can't have them. They're not going to accept any swap deals. They're not going to accept any cash payments. They're not going to accept discounts, nothing like that. You want them, you pay the release clause. You don't want to pay the release clause, you can't have them. Now, how much is Andrei Ratiu's release clause? It's set at 25 million euros. However, Rayo Vallecano only own 50% of the rights of the player, with Villarreal owning the other 50%. So, as far as Rayo Vallecano, you would have to pay him a minimum of 12.5 million euros, which is half the release clause for half the rights. And he's yours with Villarreal, owning the other 50%. If you want the full rights of the player, you would then have to go to Villarreal and said, hey guys, how much for the other half? So minimum 12.5 million euros to sign Andrei Ratiu. We'll see whether Barcelona will consider him. Of course, he's not on the top of the list, but he is one of the many options that Barcelona are considering for this summer. All right, let's go back to the comment section. Barca for Life says La Liga keeps pushing the fence and making new rules to keep us under over and over again. Financial fair play rules of La Liga are horse crap. They're horse shit. They're the worst in Europe, and that's why all talent is leaving. But let's be clear on one thing. La Liga's not making these rules to mess with us. These rules apply to all the clubs. The reason they affect us is because A, we're in a terrible financial situation, and B, because they are terrible rules who affect everyone else too, right? Barcelona are not the only club who are dealing with these registration problems, having to, do all kinds of magic to register players. Everybody is except Madrid, but that's because Madrid are much, much financially healthier club. So are the financial fair play rules dog shit? Absolutely, 100%. But it's not because La Liga is specifically designing them to hurt Barcelona. All right, let's see. Hamid Reza says we were in 1-4 rule this summer, but we sell players for 50 mil and get almost for 60. No, this summer actually we weren't under the 1-4. We were under the 1-4 last year. This summer we were, sorry, not last year, the year before. This summer we were under I think it was the 60% rule, where you could use 60% to sign a play, 60% of your profits from selling a player. So I guess, what would that be? 60%. Almost 2/3. Not really. So 2 to 3 rule. But it was the 60% rule. But it wasn't the 1-4. Isaac said, hi, it's really good defensive. He is really good defensive. He is strong and aggressive at the right times. I hope Rayo will take 20 mil for him. Again, Rayo could only take half because they only own half of the rights of the player. So it will be 12.5, which is half of the 25 million euro release clause. And then if Barcelona want to own the other half, they would have to go talk to Villarreal and be like, okay, how much for the other half? Because Villarreal owns the other half. All right, let's do a couple more comments, and then we will end this. But Manta says, Mo, do we have great strikers coming up in our youth teams or Barca Athletic? Yes, we have Oscar Gistau. He is probably the most promising forward right now in the academy. Oscar Gistau. I think he's 16 years old or 15 years old. I think he might be 16 years old. Definitely check him out. I think he's injured right now, but he's really, really good. If you watch his highlights, he's very, very good. Let's see. One more. Let's do one more, and then we will end this. I'm not trying to scroll up to see comments that I might have missed. Codemaster says, hi, Mo, doing well the channel, bro. Can you see Rafinha taking over Lewy when he retires as a main striker and he deployed central, allowing a new left wing? No. Rafinha is not a striker, and therefore, no. I mean, might Rafinha be able to play as a false nine every now and then? Sure. Just like Dani Olmo, just like Ferran. But as a main striker, no. That's just not his job. It's not what he does. It's not what he's good at. To be a striker, it's a very different animal. Strikers, that's why you see strikers usually mostly play just as a strikers. You can see wingers play as strikers sometimes, but you'll never see a striker, or you very rarely will see a striker play in other positions, because being like a specialized striker, like just a setter forward, it's a different kind of animal. You have to have that goal instinct that you just can't teach people, right? It's an instinct that only strikers have, to know exactly where to be to push the ball in. I mean, look at the goal. What was it? Sevilla's goal against Sevilla, Lewandowski. Like, that ball, who shoots the ball? I can't remember. Was it Lamine shoots the ball? And then somehow Lewandowski just dives and then touches the ball and pushes it in. Those kind of instinct you only mostly find in strikers, where they see what's happening. They have nothing to do with the play. Someone else has the ball. The ball is not coming to them as a pass. They have absolutely nothing to do, but yet they see the whole thing. They see where everyone is, where all the defenders, they see the shot, and they can immediately predict where that ball is going to be and where it might bounce. And they just happy to be there, because that instinct is what makes center forwards. And that instinct you cannot teach. So no, I wouldn't have Rafinha play as a striker, because he's not a striker, you know. All right. That is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, your generous donation. I will be uploading another video after this one, so stay tuned to the channel. I will see you in that video. And as always, peace, Barca.